Hi everyone, my name is Tommy, and today I'm going to show you how to do a gradient map color separation. And this method works really well for pretty much any image, but keep in mind you will be modifying the colors rather significantly. So if you kind of like your colors, this probably isn't the best way of going about things. Anyway, let's dive in. Get this cat off me. Okay, so we're going to go into our Photoshop and we're going to be clicking our adjustments and gradient map. Cool. Gradient map. Very cool. So click our drop down window here to get our gradient editor. So we need to set up our gradient so that we have black, cyan, magenta, yellow, and then white, all from left to right. So the way you modify that is by clicking the bottom slider here, and you can just directly click on your swatches to change them. Very, very simple. So, and you can actually add colors to your gradient by clicking anywhere on the bottom of the gradient here. And since we added one, we're going to be dragging that to 25 and clicking cyan. Next one, we'll be clicking and dragging to 50 and clicking magenta. And finally clicking and dragging to 75 and clicking yellow. Cool. So we're going to save this for future use. CMYK1 and click new, and it will save it to our gradient presets. Cool. So what you want to do here is you can actually kind of use it as is, but I kind of like using it so that you have a bit more colors represented overall on the image. So there's not too much black and not too much white, so I want to kind of drag these around a little bit just so that we have those represented a little bit more. So you can kind of do your own thing here until you like your image as best as you can. Cool, I'm happy with that. So next thing, we want to actually get a merged copy of this just to compare and contrast with the way the CMYK version works, because we used an adjustment layer, it will actually affect our original image differently in a different color mode, our CMYK color mode. So what we need to do is click our topmost layer, make sure that our eyeball is turned on, and hit Control, Alt, Shift, and E if your hands can contort like that. You will be getting a merged copy on top of the other two. It's very handy as in kind of weird, um, uh, hotkey. So next we actually are going to be going into CMYK color mode. So that's image mode CMYK color. And I don't want to flatten, and that's okay. Great. So like I said, the adjustment layer is going to change how our gradient map is hitting. So it hits it rather significantly different. So just comparing, this is a lot more saturated, but in my opinion, this way would actually work better for our final image. So I'm actually going to delete our stamped image. And from here, we actually want to do one more step before we do the real color separation. So we go to adjustments once again and go to levels. And in levels, we actually go to our drop down window and you can modify each individual color. So we're going to go through each one and make sure that we have a good amount of that color represented. So you can see we have a big gap here. This is a lot of mist opacity. We want to have nice solid colors in our final image. So we're going to be dragging our right one in so it's hitting there, maybe a little bit more. Same thing on magenta. Magenta looks pretty good. And same thing on the right too. You see that there's a lot of super small opacities on the right. Maybe I want to pull this one in a little bit. Yeah, let's pull that in. Let's get that in over there. Yellow, same thing. Pull it in on the left. The right looks okay though. And black, yeah, we're gonna pull that in as well. Okay, so we're happy with this. So from here, we actually will be doing the real color separation. So if you're not happy with where the colors are hitting on your image as they are right now, go back into each of our gradient map or our levels and actually modify them from there. Okay? Okay, cool, let's do it. So just follow along and you'll kind of get the method to my madness as we do it. So go into channels and we're going to command or control click cyan. Cool, so this is actually going to be selecting the white areas that are not cyan, which seems a little bit counterintuitive, and that's because it is. And what you want to do is actually inverse the selection. So you can go to select, inverse, and the hotkey is shift, control, or command I. So we're inversed now, and we want to make a new layer. You can go down here and click the new layer, and then go to cyan. And then here's a cool hotkey. You hold Alt and hit backspace, and you will fill your selected area with your foreground color. So from here, we actually do Control D or Command D, or you can go up here and click deselect. Cool. And turn this guy off. And we're going to do the exact same thing for magenta. So a little bit sped up. Control click magenta icon. Control Shift I to inverse. Click magenta. New layer. The hotkey for that is Control Shift N. Enter. Click our magenta. Alt backspace. Control D to deselect. Click the eyeball. Now, same thing on yellow. Control click yellow. Control Shift I to inverse. Control Shift N for new layer. Click our yellow. Alt backspace to fill. Control D to deselect. Click the eyeball. Now finally, we're going to do our black. Control click black. Control Shift I to inverse. Control Shift N for new layer. And a nice hotkey is you just hit the letter D all by itself, and you get our default colors: black on top, white on bottom. And hold Alt backspace to fill that in with black. Control D to deselect, and we have all of our colors, but we're missing our ground color, which is going to be white in this case. So Control Shift N for new color or new layer, and this is actually going to be a little different. You hold Control backspace, and that will fill in our background color, as opposed to the foreground, which is Alt. Or in Mac, it's the same thing. So Alt, same thing. So we are good to go. The only problem is that our layers are not in the right order. So we want our lightest on the bottom and darkest on the top. So I'm going to drag these guys white on the bottom. I'm going to drag our yellow right above that, drag a magenta just above that, and you can click your eyeballs, and there you go. You have a color separated image. Isn't that fancy? So I like to shift click all these guys and Control G to group them. And just for reference, you can kind of see difference. That's pretty good. So this method is actually really good for doing multiple colorways. So I'm just going to be doing a quick thing here, and we're going to click our transparency lock. You can also hit the / or the question mark key to do that. Nice and easy. And actually going to go up here, click our cyan, and maybe make that a little bit more of a midnight bluish color. And you hit Alt backspace and you fill that in. Very cool. And go over here, get another blue, fill that in. And maybe for our yellow, we're going to put a nice lighter blue on there. Cool. So we have our color separated image. And you can actually see each individual color is represented and is hitting uniquely within the area. So if, say, I wanted a blue colorway, but I also want a, say, a red colorway with a, or a grayscale colorway with red, you can Control J to duplicate it. And let's get a dark gray here, fill that in, Alt backspace. Let's make this our red, so let's get a dark red, fill that in. And, or maybe a little bit lighter red. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. And get a gray, a light gray for our last one, and maybe a pastel. Yeah, that's nice. So there you have it. that is the way you can actually go through and make a gradient map color separation. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, leave them in the comments. Have a nice day.